Hi everybody. Today I'm going to take you through a 60-minute core flow class. But first, I want to talk a bit about the Force. It seems appropriate with May 4th upon us, and the fact that my family has had the classic Star Wars saga on permanent repeat for about 7 weeks now. So, as Obi-Wan so eloquently describes it, the Force is what gives a Jedi his power. It's an energy field created by all living beings. It surrounds us, it penetrates us, it binds the galaxy together. Now, if you didn't already know, we're all Jedis, and we don't need to live in a galaxy far, far away to harness the power of the Force. On Earth, the Force is known as prana, chi, or simply energy. And ancient yogis and Taoists, I like to call them Earth Jedis, suggest that this life force flows through invisible pathways through our bodies called meridians or nadis. And by accessing these pathways through wisdom traditions such as yoga, tai chi, qigong, pranayama, or mantra, we can increase the energy in our body, amplifying the force within us and our capacity to absorb the force around us. Sounds pretty awesome, right? So there are a couple ways that can support us to do this in our yoga practice, which I will tell you once we settle in. So let's come into a comfortable seat. If that's cross-legged, you can always grab a support underneath your hips to allow your groin to relax. You're welcome to sit your hips on your heels if that's more comfortable as well. So from here, let's just settle in. Your hands can rest wherever is comfortable. Just make sure the weight is evenly distributed through the sit bones. And then from here, we can allow our eyes to close. Let's take 3 clearing breaths. Last one. As we start to settle into our bodies and on to our mats. And turn your attention to your breath. Breathe into the full circumference of your ribs on your inhalation. And on your exhalation, release any tension or tightness. The hips are heavy. The spine extends up towards the sky above you. And we'll stay here for a couple moments. This conscious, deep breathing. And this is one of the ways that we can increase the force within us, is this deep, conscious breathing. And then you're welcome to join your palms together at heart center. And we'll ground our energy with one Om together. So first, let's take another clearing breath. Inhale, nice and deep in through the nose. Exhale out of the mouth. And then inhale together. Drop your chin towards your chest, head towards your heart. Release your hands, palms face up onto your thighs. Gently open your eyes onto your shins and raise the chin level to the mat. All right, so from here, let's get started and let the force flow. So if you're not already in a cross-legged position, we're gonna come into Sukhasana, easy pose. So the legs are gonna be crossed at the shins, feet are gonna be directly below the knees. Now we wanna keep the weight back toward the hip to protect the knees. From here, we're gonna walk the hands forward. Come to the first point of resistance, and then from here you can drop the chin and bring the head in line with the spine. And then come back to that nice deep breath through the ribs. And then perhaps on your exhalation, you can walk those hands further, or you stay where you are. Take another deep breath in. And on your exhale, you can walk your hands over towards the right. Root down into that left hip bone. Reach out through the left fingertips and stretch from hip to armpit, armpit to fingertip. And then on your next exhale, walk your hands back to center. And inhale, walk those hands back towards the hips. So from here, we're going to start to awaken into the core. So we're going to prepare for Navasana. I know you guys are like, that's so cool. She starts class with Navasana. But remember, the force is with us. So from here, let's bring our hands underneath the thighs. Feet are going to be together. We really want to focus on the squeeze of our legs together. So from here, start to lean back. Keep the chest open as you pull your thighs towards your chest. We've got different stages here. So you can stay here. You might choose to lift the feet in line with the knees, and you might take the arms away from the backs of the legs. And then from here, squeeze your navel in towards your spine, relax your shoulders, and remember to breathe. Just staying here for a couple of breaths. Last one. And then slowly you can release the feet back down to the mat. So we're going to come into the other side. So you're going to cross your legs in whatever way feels uncomfortable. That's usually how you know which one you didn't cross in front. And so from here, we're going to set up into the Sukhasana again on the other side. Weight back towards the hips. Walk the hands forward in front. Exhalation. So you always move deeper into the pose on your exhalation. Come back to that elongated breath. And breathe into those areas of tension or tightness. And on your next exhale, we'll walk the hands over towards the left. Root down through that right hip bone. Reach out through those right fingertips. Stretch through the whole right side body. For one more inhale. And then on your exhale, walk your hands back to center and walk those hands back towards your hips. One more Navasana. So from here, again, set up in your Navasana. Chest is nice and open. You're going to bring yourself into whatever stage feels comfortable. So from here, we're going to do it a little bit differently. We're going to come into a little bit of a toe touches, really starting to fire into the abdominal muscles. It is a core flow after all. So from here, just going to touch the toes, maybe extend the opposite leg. That's one set. 2, only 5, 3, 4, last one. So good, you guys. All right, so from here, let's open into the front body, open into those hip flexors. We're gonna come into reverse tabletop. Bring your hands behind you. Fingertips can point outwards, and your feet are gonna be hip width apart. Spread your toes, and you're gonna lift up your hips, elongate through the backs of the thighs. Maybe you can let the head release if that feels okay for your neck. Take one last inhalation here. And then exhale, slowly come down. And we're gonna come into a tabletop position. So start to wake up through the spine. So a couple of cat and cows. On the inhale, you drop the belly, lift the chin, lift the tailbone. On the exhale, round the spine. Tailbone moves down, chin tucks in. Inhaling. You can pull the hands back towards the knees to open up into the chest. Exhaling. And press the hands into the mat to stretch it into the backs of the shoulder. Let's do one more round. And exhale. And then from here, let's come into an active child's pose. So bring your toes to touch, knees slightly wider than the hips. And as you sink your hips back towards your heels, I want you to walk your fingertips forward. So we want to try and keep that elongation through the side body. Keep active in the arms. You're going to release your forehead down towards the mat. If the hips don't touch the heels, don't worry about it. We're going to get a really nice stretch through the spine. You can lift your forearms and spread your fingers. As we prepare to move to our first downward dog of practice. Take one more full inhalation here. Exhale, soften the space in between the shoulder blades. And then on your next inhale, come back to your tabletop position. Move those knees hip width apart, slightly behind the hips. Tuck your toes. And then gently, slowly raise your knees off the mat and come into your first downward dog. You're welcome to pedal your heels back and forth, just walking out the dog, opening up into the back body. Let's remember our foundation. So we want to spread our fingers, root into the index finger, knuckle, thumb, knuckle, lightly grip into the finger pads. That'll protect our wrists. Nice. And then you can bend your knees nice and deep, reach those sit bones up towards the sky, and from here, then release your heels down towards the mat. Keep that length through the spine. Another deep breath here. Exhale, press those hands towards the front edge of your mat. And then from here, let's start to wake up into the length of the body. So inhale, come forward to plank. Shoulders come over the wrists, no further. Tailbone lengthens back. Exhale, back to downward facing dog. Let's do that 2 more times. Inhale, forward to plank. Pause here. Foundation in the hands, right? Grip lightly through the finger pads. Exhale, back. Last one. Inhale, forward. Gazes slightly forward and down. Exhale, back. Nice. And then from here, we're going to take that left or that right leg up towards the sky. And then we're going to swing it forward to come into our high lunge. If you want to grab the front of the shin to support that movement forward, please do. So from here, let's come up onto our fingertips. Knee is going to be directly below the ankle. Squeeze your feet together to create that contraction through the core. Then from here, we're going to walk our left hand towards the outer edge of our mat. We're going to squeeze our hips together, and we're going to take that right arm up towards the sky, coming into our open twist. Inhaling here. Exhale, maybe you can take that top shoulder back slightly. Another full inhalation. And then exhale, drop that right hand back to the mat. Gonna drop our back knee to the mat and come into our low lunge. Your back toes can remain tucked. Squeeze your back knee and your front foot towards one another. And then inhale, come up into your low lunge. Inhale, lengthen through the side body. Exhale, soften the shoulders, soften the hips. Take one more full inhalation here. Exhale, hands come to the mat. We're going to open up into our hamstrings. So we're going to start to walk our hands back towards our hips. Front toes are going to lift up. Foot is going to flex, press out to the big toe mound of your foot. And then inhale, take that weight back towards your hips. And then exhale, you can release the forehead towards the knee. Create a little bit of friction. Try and pull your heel back towards your hip to protect into the hamstring by contracting the front of the thigh. Take one more inhale here. Complete exhalation. And then inhale, walk the hands underneath the shoulders, tuck your back toes, lift your back knee. We're gonna step back into downward facing dog. And then on your inhale, forward to plank. Now you can drop the knees or keep the knees lifted, lower all the way to the mat. Untuck the toes, legs are straight and strong. Let's walk the fingertips out towards the wide side of the mat. And then from here, release the shoulders. On your inhale, press to your fingertips, come into your cobra pose. Lengthen the tailbone, soften the shoulders, and then exhale, release back to the mat. Hands underneath the shoulders, tuck the toes, bent knees or straight legs, core is engaged, press up through plank. Exhale, back to downward facing dog. Take a couple of breaths here in your downward facing dog. And let's do it all over again on the other side. So raise that left leg to the sky, step that left foot forward in between the hands. We're in our high lunge. Again, contract the core, squeeze those feet together, walk your right hand towards the outer edge of your mat, squeeze your hips, raise that left arm to the sky. Twist from the ribs, maybe take that top shoulder back slightly. Take another inhale here. And on your exhale, release a hand back towards the mat. Drop your back knee, stabilize your foundation, and then inhale, come into your low lunge. Soften your eyes, soften your jaw. Take a couple of breaths here as we open into the front of the hip flexor. Exhale, hands come to the mat. And then we're into our half Hanumanasana pose to open into the hamstring. Walk your fingertips back towards your hips. Contract the front of the thigh to protect the hamstring. Feet are flexed. We're going to inhale, lengthen through the side body. Exhale, release the forehead towards the knee. One more inhale. Complete exhalation. Inhale, walk your hands back underneath your shoulders, tuck your toes, step back to downward facing dog, and then inhale, forward to plank. Move through another vinyasa. Take those shoulder blades onto the back as you lower down to your mat. Untuck your toes. Let's do another wide arm cobra pose. Soften your shoulders. On your inhale, press the tops of your feet so your legs are straight and strong, and inhale up to your cobra pose. Exhale, back down to the mat. Hands underneath your shoulders. Tuck your toes. Bent knees or straight legs. Press up through plank. Exhale, back to downward facing dog. Couple of breaths here. Then soften your knees. Start to walk your hands back towards your feet. Feet are hip width apart. Soften your knees so that your torso can rest well as close to your thighs as possible, and then grab opposite elbows. Allow your head to hang in between your upper arms. Welcome to shake your head yes or no. Welcome to swing from one side to the other. Open into that lower back. Then change the cross of the arms and start to strengthen the legs. So spread your toes and allow that energy to move up through your legs. And perhaps they move towards straight or they stay bent. Nice. And then from here, you can release your elbows. Bring your hands to fronts of shin on your inhale. Lengthen up to halfway lift, lengthen from tailbone to crown of the head. Exhale, release back down. Let's do that one more time. Inhale, halfway lift. On your exhale, bring your hands to your hips. Come all the way up to standing. We made it standing. We arrived. All right, so from here, we're going to make our way to the top of our mat. So we're going to come into Tadasana before we start into our balance pose. So Tadasana, again, spread your feet. Liven into your legs. Let your tailbone drop down, and then upper body should be relaxed. mountain pose. So lengthen out through the crown of your head. Allow the spine to support you in this upright position. Feel centered, come back. That conscious, deep breath. And the other way that we can increase the flow of energy in the body during our yoga practice is by focused attention. So as we move into our balanced pose, see if you can keep that steady breath and keep your attention focused on a focal point. And I'll talk about that as we move. So you can open your eyes. We're going to prepare to come into Garudasana pose, eagle pose. So you're going to bend your knees, open your arms wide. So stage one is going to be, we're going to take that right arm underneath the left and interlace your arms. Now if you can't grab the palms, you can always rest the hands on the shoulders. And then from here, stage two is we're going to take that the right leg over top of the right. Maybe we kickstand the foot on the mat, or we wrap the toes around the calf. Now how I steady my attention is I find a focal point, probably about a couple feet in front of me on the floor. I'm gonna squeeze my legs together, sink my hips down, take that right hip back slightly, and try and pull my forearms through one another as I take my elbows down towards my knees, just to stretch into the upper shoulders. Couple of breaths here. And then from here, I'm going to slowly start to bring my elbows towards my knees. So we're going to transition into another balanced pose. So this can be, again, done in stages. So we're going to come into Dekasana pose. So we're going to unwrap that top leg. And then we can always drop our toes onto the mat. We're going to stretch our leg back behind us. Come into airplane pose. So you can wrap your arms and stretch them back towards one another. And again, we're always just playing with balance here. So if you have to drop that toe to the mat, it's okay, right? It's all Jedi training. And so from here, see if you can drop that right hip slightly, stretch out through the back big toe mound, out through the crown of the head. And then slowly we're going to bend into that front leg, and we're going to step our toes, reach our toes back into a high lunge. Extend the arms overhead. So squeeze the bottom feet together. Take that right hip back, or that left hip back, right hip forward. And then from here, we're going to take that top elbow towards the sky. I'm going to press our head into the back forearm to open into the front of the chest. Couple of breaths here. We can extend the arms overhead. We're going to bring our hands to our hips. And then from here, we're going to take that right foot or that back foot forward slightly. And we're going to prepare for our intense forward or side stretch. And so you want to take your feet out slightly wider for balance. And then we're going to take that front hip back and roll that back hip forward. You're going to take your arms wide. Thumbs are going to be down towards the mat. And then you're going to take your arms behind your back. Now just remember what forearm is in front, because we'll switch this on the other side. Press into the big toe mound of the front foot to engage into the front of the thigh. So legs are straight and strong. Inhale, open through the chest. Exhale, continue to pull that front hip back as you slowly come forward. Keep the shoulders engaged onto the back. You can drop the forehead towards the knee. Couple of breaths here. Nice. And then at your next inhale, slowly come back up to standing. Gonna release the arms from behind the back. Bring the hands to the hips. You're gonna turn your toes out towards the long side of your mat. You can walk them out wide, toes turn in, preparing for our wide-legged forward fold. So legs are straight and strong, present to the outside edges of your feet. Inhale, open the chest. Exhale, keep your quadriceps engaged as you hinge from your hips and come forward. Now hands, you can keep them on your hip, or you can bring the hands in between your feet, and you may choose to walk your feet out a little bit wider. Inhale, lengthen through the side body, and then exhale, forward fold. Couple of breaths here. You're welcome to keep your hands in between your feet. If you choose, you want to maybe bring them to the outsides of the shins, whatever feels comfortable. Last breath. Then inhale, slowly walk those hands underneath the shoulders. Exhale, bring your hands to your hips. Come all the way up to standing. And you're gonna heel toe your feet back in towards one another. You're gonna come to step back to the top of our mat. Gonna do that all again on the other side. So we're gonna come to the other side, so Garudasana. So prepare for your Garudasana, come into your goalpost arms, and then you're gonna bring the other arm underneath, intertwine the arms, maybe grab the shoulders, or if it doesn't feel comfortable, and then you're gonna take that leg over top of the other, and then just listen to the body. Don't force here. Again, we've got that option to kickstand the toes, or maybe we just stay here with that arm variation, or you can bring the foot behind the calf. And then from here, squeeze the legs together, maybe sink down slightly, pull your forearms through one another and take those elbows in towards your chest, and then find your focal point. Deep conscious breathing, focused attention. So we let the force flow. And we'll start to transition into our Dikasana, or airplane pose. So elbows come towards the knees. Gaze is steady. We take that top leg back. Maybe the toes dropped as we prepared to extend it back behind us. We drop to that lifted hip, and then we take the arms back behind us. Another couple of breaths here. You might not try to balance, levitate any rocks while you're doing this. It depends on kind of what level you're at with your Jedi training. Take one more full inhalation here, and then bend into that front leg and take your back foot back into your high lunge. Extend your arms overhead, sink down into the hips. And let's take that hand back behind the shoulders. Take the elbow up towards the sky and press the head into the back of the forearm. With your exhale, you can sink down. Settle in here for another full inhalation. Complete exhalation. And then you can slowly release the arms, bring the hands to the hips, and we're going to step that back foot forward slightly and bring the heel onto the mat. We can widen our stance to support balance. And then from here, we remember what forearm we had in front. So we're going to change and bring the other forearm in front behind our back. We can grasp onto our forearms, our elbows, or if you can come into comfortably reverse namaste, please do so. And then inhaling, legs are straight and strong. Open the chest. Exhale as you fold forward That front hip pulls back, back hip rolls forward. And we come into our intense side stretch. Conscious breath, focused attention. Last full inhalation, complete exhalation. And then slowly, slowly on your inhale, come back up to standing. You can release the arms behind the back. You can step your feet forward and shake out the legs. Well done, everybody. And let's rinse it all off with a vinyasa. So inhale, fingertips to the sky. Reach up, stretch up. Exhale, surrender to the earth. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, forwards fold. Step back. We're going to step back into downward facing dog and then prepare to come forward into plank. Either drop the knees or keep them lifted all the way to the mat or halfway down. Up dog or cobra. Legs are straight and strong. Shoulders are relaxed. Exhale, back down. Tuck the toes. Bend knees or straight legs up through plank. Exhale, back into downward facing dog. Take a couple breaths here. You might choose to drop the knees onto the mat and come into a child's pose. Turn your attention to your breath. Come back to that steady inhale, steady exhale. Couple more breaths here. Allow your hips to release towards your heels on the exhale. Soften the space in between your shoulder blades. Take one more full inhalation. Complete exhalation. And on your inhale, walk your hands back towards your knees. And we're going to do some more core, because I know you guys love it. And so from here, we're going to come into bicycle pose. So you're going to come onto your mat. You can lie back. You can bring the knees in towards the chest. Just squeeze the knees in towards the chest. Elongate the spine onto the mat. And then from here, we're going to take the legs to 90 degrees. And so we're already in a core exercise here. Holding the knees up to 90 degrees engages our core. So most important thing here is keep the navel in towards the spine. Then from here, hands are going to come and interlace behind the head. Now from here, so your shoulders are already lifted slightly off the mat. And so you take an inhale. And then on your exhale, you're going to bring your right elbow towards your left knee and you're going to straighten that right leg. Inhale back to center. Exhale over towards the other side. Inhale back. Exhale other side. And then we're just going to keep doing this. Not forever. I promise not forever. But for a little bit. A little bit. So really see if you can lift the shoulder off the mat, because that's going to get really nice contraction through the abdominals. It's not a race. So nice, slow, mindful movement is the ticket in this pose. Nice, you guys. Stay with the breath. Maybe lift the corners of the mouth because you're just having such a good time. Nice, you guys. Let's do, what do we think? Let's do 3 more. center. Exhale over towards the other side. Exhale. Inhale to center. Exhale over towards the other side. Last one. Exhale. Inhale to center. Exhale over towards the other side. Nice, you guys. Well done. So we're going to again squeeze the knees into the chest. You're welcome to rock the knees from one side to the other. Maybe draw circles with the knees. Just release any tension in the lower back. And then from here, we're going to continue with a little bit more core. I know. So from here, we're going to come into dynamic supine twist. So we're going to open our arms to goalpost arms. We're going to again bring our legs to 90 degrees. And so from here, again, the breath is really important. And so on your inhale, you're going to drop your knees over towards the right. Keep that left shoulder rooted on the mat. And then exhale. Use the core to pull the knees back to center. Inhale over towards the other side. Exhale the knees back to center. And we're just going to move like that. So shoulders are grounded onto the mat. The legs squeeze together. What I love about this, let's call it exercise, abdominal work, is that we strengthen into the obliques, but then we also get to open into the intercostal muscles. We get that opening into the outer glute muscles. And we get to massage into the internal organs as well. And so stay with me here. If you want to challenge yourself further, you can straighten your legs. I'm not going to demonstrate that because I don't want to challenge myself any further right now. So again, the breath, inhaling, drop those legs, exhale, pull them back to center. 3 more rounds. See if you can keep those heels lifted away from the hips. Last one. Fantastic. Well done, you guys. Squeeze those knees into the chest again. Rock or roll forwards or back. Then from here, we're going to come into our back bend. So we're going to come into bridge pose. So we're going to take the heels, the feet hip width apart, and take the heels close towards the hips. So ideally, you can dangle the fingers on the backs of the heels. And then you're going to take your fingertips up towards the sky. Forearms are going to be nice and tight in towards the ribs. So your foundation here is your feet, your forearms, and the back of your head. From here, press into your foundation, and on your inhale, you're going to roll the spine away from the mat. When you get up to the top, you can lift one shoulder towards the ear, and then underneath the back, and then the other towards the ear, underneath the back. And then you might choose to interlace your fingers underneath the back, and that might take it a little bit further. But if you know your shoulders are a little bit sensitive, then you can keep your fingertips up towards the sky. And then from here, we're going to keep the feet hip width apart. This is stage 1. I want you to stay here, or I'm going to give you the option to extend the leg towards the sky. So you're going to take that left foot in, because we've done some hamstring openers, so they might be ready to do this. So you're going to take your left foot in towards the midline of your mat. And then from here, you're going to take that right knee in towards your chest, lift your hips, and extend that right leg towards the sky. Just a couple of breaths here. Press into your foundation. Press out through the big toe mound of that lifted leg. Take one more inhale. Then exhale, release it back down to the mat. Awesome. And then slowly, you can roll back onto the mat. Just take a moment here. See if you can stay still. Allow the body to return to neutral. Last one. So reset your foundation. press in to the feet, backs of the arms, backs of the head, and then slowly lift up. From here, extend out through the knees, lengthen that tailbone, and then if you choose, you stay here, or we can walk that right foot in towards the midline of the mat. We're going to take that left knee in towards the chest, and then extend it up towards the sky. And then from here, just use your foundation, whatever variation of the pose you're in, use your foundation to lift the chest towards the chin. One last inhale. And then exhale, slowly release the leg if it's up towards the sky. Roll down onto your mat. You can squeeze your knees into your chest. Or what I always like to do is I like to walk the feet out towards the outer edge of the mat, allow the knees to move in towards each other, and then just windshield wiper the legs from one side to the other. Take your time, stay with the breath. Nice. And then from here, bring those knees in towards the chest. We're going to start to rock forwards and back, just building up momentum until we come all the way up into our seated position. And then from here, I'm going to give you the option. We're into our seated poses now, but if you want, you're welcome to move into a vinyasa. So if you choose, you can come forward, coming into your downward facing dog. And then from here, you can move forward to your plank. Remember, grip into the finger pads, look slightly forward, shoulder blades onto the back. Lower all the way down or halfway down, up dog or cobra. Exhale, back down to the mat, tuck the toes, press up through plank. Exhale, back to downward facing dog. And then from here, we can drop the knees onto the mat. We're going to meet in our seated position. And so this is where, a rolled up towel or blanket will be supportive in the forward fold. If you feel, as you stretch your legs forward, that the pelvis rocks backward. So in our forward folds, we really want the pelvis to tilt forward. And so having a little bit of support underneath the sit bones can be very helpful. So from here, let's come into Dandasana. So staff pose. Legs are straight and strong, toes are spread. We can bring our fingertips either side of the hips. And just like we did in our Tadasana mountain pose, we want to elongate the spine towards the sky. Shoulders are relaxed and legs are active. This pose is just going to set us up, this solid foundation to move into our forward folds. Couple of breaths here. Nice. And then we're going to take that right knee in towards our chest. Squeeze it in, get a nice stretch through the back of the body. And then we're going to bring that right foot to the inside of that left thigh. You can walk your left heel out slightly towards the outer edge of your mat. And then bring your hands on either side of your extended leg. So foot is flexed, quadricep is engaged. We're going to inhale, lengthen through the side body. And then exhale, lead from the heart. So forward folds always lead from the heart. Drop the chin so the head is level or in line with the spine. And then we continue. Inhale, lengthen through the side body. Exhale, pull your navel towards your spine. To remember, only come to that first point of resistance. And then breathe your breath into those areas of tension or tightness. notice if you've lost any engagement through that extended leg. 5 more breaths here. Nice, and inhale, come back up to center. We're going to take that right knee up towards center, and we're going to take that right foot across the left thigh. And you can bring the extended leg towards the center. Now I'm going to give you the option to keep the extended leg stretched out, or you can bring that left heel in towards your hips. So we're going to come into our twist. So from here, sit up nice and tall. You can bring your right fingertips slightly behind the hips, and then inhale, take that left arm up towards the sky, and as you exhale, rotate the ribs, and you can bring that left elbow outside of your bent leg, or if it feels more comfortable, to wrap the arm around that top leg. Inhale, lengthen, and as you exhale, you can pull that right hip back and rotate from the base of your spine up through mid-spine. Really focus on rotating into the ribs. Head can just relax, chin can release towards that back shoulder. Each exhale, an opportunity to maybe come a little bit deeper into your twist. Let's take one last breath. Inhale, nice and deep. And then exhale, release back to center. From here, let's reset into our Dandasana pose. Find center through here. And then we'll move to the other side. Left knee squeezed in towards the chest. Stand up nice and tall. Then we'll take that left foot in towards the inner thigh, that right leg to that right heel over towards the outer edge of our mat. Engage into that extended leg, hands are on either side. Inhale, lengthen. Exhale. See if you can align your sternum over that extended leg. Drop the chin, bring the head in line with the rest of the spine. Even allow the eyes just soften or close. Allow that awareness to turn inwards. That focused attention, that deep conscious breath. To allow the force to move more freely through the body. 5 more breaths here. Last one. Full inhalation. Complete exhalation. And then inhale, slowly come back up to center. And take that extended leg back to center. Bring that left knee up and the foot over the extended leg. You can keep that leg extended or bend that right heel back towards the hip and then come into our stretch or our twist. So that left hand comes slightly behind the hips. On your inhale, take that right arm up to the sky, stretch it towards the side body, create space. Then on your exhale, twist and bring that right arm to the outside, or right elbow to the outside of the bent knee, or we can wrap the arm around. Inhale, lengthen through the side body, and then exhale, you can pull that left hip back. And just as we did in our forward fold, where the heart led the forward fold, we want the heart to lead the twist. So inhale here, and as you exhale, allow the heart to take you further into the twist if it feels appropriate. Two more breaths here. Full inhalation. And on your exhalation, rotate yourself back towards center. From here, you can uncross that leg. We're going to bring the soles of the feet together and come into Baddha Konasana, or butterfly pose. And so you can bring the hands onto the fronts of the shins. And again, you can place support underneath your sit bones to bring the hips up a little bit higher to support that forward tilt of the pelvis. From here, hands on the front of the shins, pull your shins back towards you to open up into the front body. So inhaling, lengthen, and then exhaling, forward fold. You can move the hands wherever feels appropriate. Each inhale elongates through the side body. And on your exhale, you can even press the forearms to the insides of the legs to deepen the opening into the groin. Drop the chin. Inhaling space. Exhaling release. Five breaths here. And then inhale, slowly come back to an upright position. Our last seated pose, you can bring your hands to the outside of the knees and stretch your legs forward. Our last seated pose is going to be our full forward fold. So we're back into our Dandasana to set up for that full forward fold. Legs are engaged, feet are flexed. Then on your inhale, take your arms up, elongate out through the side body. On your inhale, lengthen, and on your exhale, reach yourself forward. Again, just to that first point of resistance, and then allow your hands to fall wherever they may. Then again, you drop your chin. You might be able to grab the big toe mounds with your index finger and peace fingers. Inhaling here. Exhaling, make sure that those quadriceps are engaged to protect into the hamstrings. This feels too intense, you can always bend the knees and place a rolled up towel or blanket underneath the thighs, and that'll soften into the hamstrings. those areas that call your attention. Three more breaths here. And slowly on an inhalation, come back to an upright position. And then from here, you can slowly make your way down onto your mats, preparing for your Shavasana pose. So you're welcome to put a rolled up bolster or blanket underneath your thighs. Your feet should be slightly hip width apart. Your arms can be outstretched by your side, or your hands can rest on your belly. Any last movements you need before you settle into stillness. And then when you're ready, let's take a cleansing breath. So inhale deeply in through the nose. Exhale out of the mouth. Release any engagement. Release all your effort. And with each exhale, allow the weight of your body to sink into the support of the earth beneath you. And I invite you to stay here for as long as you can. Allow the benefits of your practice to sink to every fiber of your being. I'm going to leave you here with a quote from Jedi Master Yoda. Luminous beings are we, not this crude matter. You must feel the force around you, here, between you, me, the tree, the rock, everywhere. May the force be with you always.